Good evening, fellow ghouls and specters alike. Your ghost host with the most here, Tiki.
And BlueDragonFive.
And SandyClaws.
And Jacob Wile, too.
Here to engage in some haunted holiday hijinks by trudging through the catacombs and dusting off the cobwebs as we recount our spooky selection of Halloween classics.
So light the jack-o'-lanterns, suit up, and grab the candy dish as we revive and recount tonight's selection. Courage the Cowardly Dog, Freaky Fred. Maniacal laugh. So how are we all feeling this evening?
Naughty.
Alright, I give us about a 6 out of 10 for the effort. A for effort, guys. See you next week.
That's better than that. That's at least an 8.
Oh boy. So guys, tonight we are talking on Haunted Holiday Hijinks about a very seminal episode of Courage the Cowardly Dog. I would dare to say this is probably my #1 favorite. I don't know about you guys, but this to me just hits such a chord between humor, between atmosphere, and between genuine freakiness and scariness. I love this episode. I think this episode holds up so well. We're talking about the one, the only, the glorious Freaky Fred. Oh, yeah.
The naughty Freaky Fred.
Na, 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 na.
That, for some reason, it reminds me of the Doug Gerbil song.
You know, it's probably done by the same. It's probably done by the same choir, however they.
So, guys, I've always loved Courage, and of course, we got the great John R. Dilworth on the podcast, and
Paul Scheffler.
Yeah, well, Paul Scheffler was technically on Sandy's channel. I don't think he was technically ever on our channel.
We talked with the guy.
We did. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
I'm just giving credit where credit's due.
Sure.
On himself and the voice of Freaky Fred.
I know, right?
Yeah, so very fun to watch this episode in retrospect. I'm going to actually go back and I'll post the link to the Dilworth interview and then the Schaeffler interview as soon as we're done here. So yeah, my memory of this is just like, to me, the 2 episodes of Courage that always stuck out to me, it was Freaky Fred, of course, and the other one was, it wasn't an episode, it was more of a series of episodes, which was kind of the other contender that Dragon and I had in mind, which was sort of the emotional monster episodes, like the Bigfoots and the Hunchback of Notre Dame, you know, the ones where it stars sort of like a classic, like, tropey movie monster and, like, kind of get into them on a very emotional level. Like, those were the 2 types of episodes I really remembered. But, I mean, Freaky Fred, what can you say? I think Freaky Fred just stands on its own for the music alone and just the claustrophobic nature of it, the unique setup, which Sandy will tell us about. Sandy, why don't you regale us with Dilworth's inspiration for this episode?
So talking to John Dilworth, I believe he told us, or I heard in some other interview, that the inspiration for this episode came from this idea he had where he wanted to do a Dr. Seuss narrative type episode where almost everything was completely in rhyme, and this, I think, fit perfectly with that. And of course, Paul Scheffler does the voice, along with many other of the villain voices in the show. He does it perfectly. I really don't know much more than that. There's really isn't a whole lot available online to read about or to listen to. But that gives you the basic idea.
I think the impressive thing about this is not only is it mostly all in rhyme, but it's also like the dialogue is a good, I want to say, maybe 70% in Fred's head.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, that is pretty impressive.
All right, Jacob and Dragon, any nostalgia you have about this episode?
Oh, is that what you were asking me? Nostalgia?
Well, that
Well,
too.
yeah.
I mean, we needed you
Yeah.
to do the lead-in for it, though. So I mean, that's all.
Okay. All right.
Any nostalgia, Sandy? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to leave you out of that.
Oh, it's fine. I always hear this. This is the one thing I always think about when I hear this episode, or when I hear people say that this episode always freaks them out. It never freaked me out at all. Like, it still doesn't. Like, sure, Fred is creepy, but he's not, like, off the wall, horrifying creepy.
To be fair, for me now, it's more the music more than anything else. I don't think it's like terrifying or anything like that, but I mean, I do think as for a kid show, it is pretty intense.
It is intense for a kids show. I don't remember. I don't have any vivid memories of watching it as a kid. That might have been for the better. I was exposed to King Ramses' curse multiple times, so that was probably enough. But yeah, I like this.
Can I just say, I also watched King Ramses' Curse as kind of like a double feature with this episode in preparation, and that episode I think actually holds up even more in terms of being a scary episode.
You know,
Like,
I know.
It surprised me how intense that one was.
I know Cartoon Network would never do this, but I really want them to just play like a scariest Courage the Cowardly Dog episode marathon.
Oh, that'd be nice. That'd be nice.
That makes so many people happy.
Oh yeah. Okay, Sandy or Dragon and Jacob, your nostalgia, if any.
Dragon, go first.
All right. Well, for me, this episode pretty much is it's a gold standard for Courage the Cowardly Dog. That kind of goes without saying. But for me, like some of my favorite Courage episodes are the ones that don't necessarily revolve around a monster. And this one is kind of interesting in that regard. Is that it's very much kind of like I'm not going to say it's not like a slasher, more of it's kind of a thriller kind of example of the Courage the Cowardly Dog episode. It's all about kind of the psychological and tonal fear versus just kind of like ooh, big scary monster that's probably going to eat you. Which don't get me wrong, is also good. No, that's saying some of my favorites don't involve that, but I mean like that and some other episodes. I really like I like when we can mix it up in Courage. Like again, you have this episode, you have another one like heads of beef. Where it's like there's no fear whatsoever. It's a big old misunderstanding. Yeah, you got some like the fear is.
Oh yeah, Heads of Beef is one of my favorites.
Yeah, exactly. It's another one of my favorites, and that's a great one where the fear is just it's all in Courage's head, which is a rarity because usually Courage is always right about this sort of thing, and that's living this around everyone else. And in the case of Fred, it's like I don't know. For me, I love I think I appreciate a whole lot more. When I grew up watching it. I mean, I grew up and then look back to it because I really appreciate like all the tonal stuff we're setting up here. Basically, it's like the fear is not in the action itself. Just like it's a dog being shaved essentially, which I mean it's a little psychotic, but it's not it's not he's going to kill him or anything. But at the same time, the atmosphere is there, and it's just how it's the aesthetic. The aesthetic is just what really drives this episode, and it's really impressive that it gets you in that like a slasher movie or a thriller kind of headspace, and it gets you there on a something that is also palatable for kids, but still doesn't lose any of its edge. So I'm very impressed by it still.
Yeah. So yeah, I kind of agree with that whole statement. I mean, and honestly, this isn't one of my favorites either. I mean, well, it actually is kind of up there. It's a notable one because this is like one of the very earliest episodes, and there's like one of the few that actually show like this show can be creepy without the monsters, which is probably a good idea to get out of the way very early.
To me, I mean, I think, yes, there were episodes that came later that were scarier than this and more high concept than this. But I think this episode, like Dragon said, was a good sort of like, it set a gold standard. You know what I mean? It was a good sort of like, all right, like kind of planting the flag, like this is what the concept of like a scary show in children's animation can be.
Yeah, it's a new way to scare people.
It's proven itself too over the years. I mean, people still remember it. It's like a piece of like pop culture now.
Yeah, I mean, I think this King Ramses and like a select few others have kind of like risen to the cream of the crop.
Yeah. I think from what I've seen, Fred is like the leading king above all other. I guess in terms of face, it's just so iconic, you know.
Well, I mean, no one can beat the snowman.
Also voiced by Paul Sheffield.
I know, right?
Yes.
Oh my god, I love that guy so much. So, Jacob, you were saying something. You were going. We detracted from your point, sir. Continue.
Yes, I was like, it was a good idea to get that kind of thing out, or thing out early, but it actually does set a good standard for future villains. Like, and that humans are probably some of the scariest monsters you'll ever find.
Sure.
And I mean, I'm sure that's not the message this episode was going for. It's just that I think that what this thing can actually, I'm sure they weren't actually trying to teach this or anything, but it actually taught that like this person could be your neighbor or your friend. It could be anybody.
I mean,
And
if you look,
that's the scariest part.
look at it this way. I mean, again, just the we go through. I think Jacob hit upon something really brilliant. There's we kind of it could be seen as sort of an education on serial killers, because Fred, the way the narrative is laid out, which we'll break down momentarily, the way the narrative is laid out, we kind of go through his life or various examples of other villains, and we kind of see the evolving methodology since he was a child. And again, instead of the more lethal implication, it's more like he started young, like many serial killers do, with practicing, and then of course
Started with animals.
Then like other children and/or kind of localized victims, and of course he has like kind of his Dexter-like modus operandi at the ready, by the barbershop. So it's interesting that again, looking back on it years later, there's so many great deep levels to it you can look on now that I think just might have been lost on you before, and now there's so much great stuff there, along with just kind of the it hit that creepy baseline it needed to, and then years later you can see so much more with it, which is impressive.
And we really don't have any other. I mean, I do remember watching this probably around when it came out, because this show came out a long time ago, and I actually grew up watching this show. So this is one of my few nostalgic shows that I can actually remember from this time. Not necessarily this episode, but the show as a whole. I think this is the show that this is the show that got me into Cartoon Network. My funny nostalgic story for this one is like a couple of years ago when I was actually going to college. I think the show was on Netflix at the time, and I was just watching through these episodes and all that. And my friend asked me, one of my roommates asked me what I was doing, and I said I like watching Courage the Cowardly Dog. They asked me which one. I just said naughty. And they're like, "Oh God, that one." They're like, they even remember. They remember that too. You can just say naughty, and they instantly know which one you're talking about. That's the power of this episode.
Yep.
All right, my piece is done.
Sandy,
Yes.
plot summary.
Oh, yes. Voila, the farm. My aunt lives here, with precious pup and husband dear. My heart beats fast as I drew near. I feel so nice and naughty. I thought just how excited they must be that I would come today. They'd shout, "Come, Fred, huzzah, hooray! Dear boy, you look so naughty." That's when my tired eyes beheld a doggy dog, like dog he smelled. D-O-G is what he spelled, and that's how I spell naughty.
That's kind of the skeleton of the episode right there.
Yep. Way to go, Sandy. That's great. That's great.
Thank you. All right, Draken, you want to start us off with how this episode opens?
Certainly. So let's see. So we started the episode with that great musical melody. The whole na 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 na. Oh boy, it's so great. Kind of reminds me of Nightmare on Elm Street a little bit. Honestly, it's like like that whole like the Fred another Fred actually. Like the whole the one the whole the nursery rhyme with Freddy Krueger. So let's see. So yes, we start actually with kind of this great kind of almost fourth wall breaking narration by Fred. Of course, the great Paul Scheffler is doing a beautiful kind of soliloquy with a beautiful read, and I love that he's in silhouette and he's smiling all through. I love that. That's kind of the great symbol of Fred. He's in shadow, but that smile which just defines him so well. Let's see. I mean, there's this great. I guess great lines. I mean, I don't want to just pick for like one of them's like, "Your words in my head. I've been very naughty." You know, he's great. So
apparently someone counted and he says naughty about like 14 times throughout the episode.
Really, 14 times.
I believe so. That or probably a little bit more, a little bit less. But apparently apparently he says it like that many times.
I think he only has like. Oh man, I know when he gets to the door, Muriel asks him what brings him to their house, and he says holiday. It's basically just these one word sentences.
Yeah, you're right about that. Yeah, we also I think the most he says in a row, I guess, is where he says courage, your hair. I think that's the most he says outside of it. He says,
yeah, as I was saying, like a great part of this episode is like 80% of the dialogue is just in Fred's head, and we get like those little bits and snippets of dialogue from him, and it's just enough to be like, okay, there's something seriously messed up and off kilter about this guy.
So essentially, we have some setup with Fred with the framing device. Okay, we're in his head. He's telling us a story, and he is traveling on a bus to nowhere. I don't mean he's not going anywhere. I mean he's going to our favorite little farm. So,
you know, some internet theorists say it's just a regular farm, and it's not in the middle of nowhere at all.
So Muriel,
that's just a theory, a cartoon theory. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jake.
Anyway, so Muriel eagerly prepares for her nephew's visit. Yeah, Fred's her nephew, right?
Yep. Yeah. That's Muriel.
Yes.
I gotta say, Muriel freaking makes this episode for me. Just
while Eustace is trying to fix the door, and I love how the bathroom door, mind you, where they get stuck. I love
completely impractical lock, by the way.
Right, it's this huge lock. I've noticed that's one of the things I love about the design influences they on Courage. They have like these big, like these minor objects that are just exaggerated to the extreme. Like in the opening, Courage is wearing a diaper when he's sitting in the alley, and his diaper has this huge safety pin on the back. Stuff like that, it's hilarious.
Of course, like all the pocket contents, they have this like every time they pull something out of their pocket, it's like this huge item initially.
Right, exactly, like this big mallet or this big fish or something,
or the big mask,
or a big set of tweezers.
I think the mask has got to be my favorite, like over-exaggerated size item in the show.
Especially when Courage pulls it out of nowhere because he doesn't have any pockets.
I'd love to see like a standalone episode on how Eustace got the mask. Like, I'm sure there's a story there.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It feels more like a one-note gag. They were in the market and he bought something. It was like, oh, he's frugal, something like that. But I would, if they can make an episode of it, I'd be.
I need something to scare my wife's new dog. Oh, here it is.
Or maybe, oh god, what if? Okay, here's what happened. So when Muriel she won the bet, she won the alley and she got Courage. It was a really heartwarming moment. What we didn't see was like a minute after that moment where Eustace basically in the same alley, he's like just kind of like says, we don't want a stinking dog here. And basically Muriel get in the truck, and anyway, so she gets the dog in the truck, and basically he sees he's about to leave, and he turns around and says, basically there's a mask in like the alleyway garbage, and he finds it. I like that. The minute that he gets in the car, he scares Courage, and then it's like it's a marriage made in heaven, essentially.
It's basically like if you get to keep the dog, I get to keep the mask.
Yep, something like that.
Well, there's one moment, and we're going on a bit here, but there's one moment in The Return of the Chicken from Outer Space where the chicken is trying to pull Muriel's head off with a plunger.
Yeah.
This big machine. So Courage goes out to the back, and there's basically the chicken's spaceship is like plugged into an outlet, and Courage can't get it unplugged. So he pulls out of nowhere just this huge set of clippers, like nail clippers, and just clips the wire. The power shut off to the entire ship.
Yep.
You gotta love the power of hammer space.
And nail clippers.
All right, we
Yeah,
should probably
that's-
get back to Fred.
Yeah, so back to so importantly, this thing I kind of forgot about is that Eustace he's working on this lock specifically because that freak's not setting one foot in this house. He's so determined. He wants this. He's like, I get this since he's installing locks on all the doors, but he started with the bathroom. That's kind of it's a theory, I guess, not verified. Because otherwise, like, why the heck would he? Again, logically, you put the lock on the inside of the bathroom. He's so stupid. He just put it on the outside.
He already did just to. Yeah, he probably had his reasons.
I love the gag. I never really noticed this before. The hilarity of just the bald man wary of the family of the barber of the freaky barber. The bald man is weary of the freaky barber. I just love that logic.
And he never tries to cut Muriel's hair either. That's the funny thing.
Right. So let's see.
That's the thing about the episode that I love is that Fred is just so genuinely polite that he treats Muriel like gold.
Yeah.
Like, for all the freaky stuff that's going on in the episode, he is a good nephew. You know what I mean?
From a structural perspective.
Not good much where else, but nephew, yes.
Well, Fred is he's an okay guy, but he just has this obsession with Teddy. I mean, other than that, he's an okay guy. He's just a little bit creepy.
There is this one bit in the episode which we'll get to.
He's a little bit naughty.
Oh yeah.
Now, there is this one bit in the episode which we'll get to. Actually, in one little moment, in one little action, it gives Fred a whole another layer of dimension, which is fascinating, and we'll get there. Later in the episode, we have work to it. So, we'll get there. So anyway, so let's see. So again, structurally, is really clever here. How Eustace is kind of building Fred up with moments like that, and he continues to kind of build, Fred up that freaky barber, to courage essentially.
It's one of the few times that Courage and Eustace are kind of on the same page in an episode.
Of course, it goes completely out the window the minute Fred arrives, but you're right though. It's
Yeah,
kind of
then
like
Eustace just savagely throws Courage under the bus, like literally throws him to the proverbial wolves.
Or what was it? The demon in the mattress.
Yeah.
I love how that's a great example of how they're on the same page. They're both
it's the
trying
Tom
to-
and Jerry effect. It's like those rare occurrences when Tom and Jerry would team up.
Mm-hmm.
Not including the movie. We don't talk about
Not including the movie. We've been over this. Not including the movie.
I know,
Yeah,
but I
they
keep stressing it, Dragon. I keep having to bring it up.
But yes, I know exactly what you're talking about, Sam. I love those moments. They're so rare.
But Tiki, they have to have money.
That is not the part of that movie I have issue with, Sandy.
Okay. Anyway,
All right, let's go, Dragon.
So basically, Eustace establishes that he's a freaky barber with a freaky barber shop up and he's up to freaky barber things.
Did you notice that his girlfriend's name sounds like this profession? Barbara.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
God. You know what's weird? I'm gonna when we get there, I'm gonna maybe rock you guys' worlds or something. We'll get there. So Fred arrives. Hooray! Fred arrives. Courage imagines all.
I love Fred is so delusional to think that like everyone's gonna be stoked to see him.
Yeah. So it's kind of cool here is that Courage he's imagining all sorts of monsters. Again, it's playing that whole like it's not a monster, it's something it's more frightening in a way. It's just he's imagining all sorts of monsters, like, the kind of this typical Courage film.
And Tiki, that mime that you saw.
Oh God, is it like the dance that it's on mime?
No. That was like the mime in my dream, like with the square.
Oh God, ooh. Okay.
Yeah.
I feel Jacob and I are lost on something.
Well, you guys need to watch Dance and It's On Netflix.
That wasn't what I was referring to, but yeah.
That doesn't change the fact that they need to watch Dance and It's On Netflix.
Oh no, of course. Yeah,
We see like what
Why do I have a
mummy or
bad feeling
giant
about
bug guy.
Why do I have a bad feeling about that?
All right.
Yeah, so like a whole like slew of monsters, mummy, bug guy, a type of Frankenstein, and of course a mime. The most horrible of monsters, a mime.
Everyone
that mime
knows
has always that mime has always been the scariest part of the episode for me. He's just standing there like, looking at the camera, doing his mime things.
There's funny.
Sandy and I have been over this. He has a history of mimes.
You guys got to read this Deadpool comic where Deadpool, with using mime weaponry, he kills like a whole slew of mimes. He battles like an army of mimes, and he uses mimed weapons, and it's hilarious. It's a silent issue. He gets stabbed in the head so he can't hear. Anyway, so so Muriel opens the door. In a way, you know what kind of my comparison for Fred is, I think it's Lewis Carroll meets Dr. Seuss meets Sweeney Todd. I think it's kind of a combo for Fred we got here. Here's a bit of Lewis Carroll.
I mean, I could see I could see the Lewis Carroll a little bit. I mean, Lewis Carroll was a creepy guy unto himself. Let's not forget that.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely feels kind of Mad Hatter. I mean, put a hat on him, he's the Mad Hatter.
Right.
Anyway, so, let's see. So, we have this great push-in on the door. Remember, she goes to open the door, and we have this great push-in, and we build up Fred. We've only seen him in silhouette until this point. This is like the real reveal of Fred. This is all great.
Well, don't forget we saw him in the title card.
Well, I mean, yeah, you're right. Yeah, we saw him in the title card.
Well, but still, just in the context of the episode.
I really don't like how they showed him in the title card. Like, they showed his full character design.
You're right. You're right.
Totally.
Yeah, but you're right. But it's a cool reveal within the episode, though.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, let's see. So yes, so Muriel welcomes Fred. Oh, Fred, there you are.
Again, I absolutely love how Muriel is so clueless the whole episode. It tickles me.
Of course, Fred expecting the pleasant welcome. He gets it from Muriel, and then, what brings you here, nephew?
Holiday.
Holiday.
I just love that's the first line of the episode, spoken by him, is in that moment. And again, we don't. I think in most he's had. Honestly, I think he has 4 lines. Quite honestly, I think he has 4 spoken lines. Words,
one of them
lines.
One of them later is when he's talking to Courage in the bathroom, I think.
Oh.
And then when he's saying goodbye.
Yes. Oh yeah, sure. 5, maybe in 5 in total. So either way, very few. So Muriel, she introduces Courage.
I'm like a better Darth Maul.
What?
I said I'm like a better Darth Maul.
I know, but why?
Darth Maul. You know, didn't Darth Maul have more lines in the trailer than everyone expected to hear?
I think so. Okay. Something like that.
It's Darth Maul, he was a man of few words, and some people were perplexed by
and he's still awesome, god damn it.
And he's voiced by Peter Serafino. It's the Tick, man. Tick.
God, I keep forgetting about that.
The guy with the best line in the Guardians of the Galaxy trailer. What a bunch of a-holes. It's him!
Alright.
Anyway, so, back to this. So, I spied a doggy dog, just like dog he smelled. You know, it's basically Fred's just getting into his thing. Again, Sandy was wonderfully read for us in the Fred voice. Better than either of us could ever aspire to be, but you know. So, Courage.
This is the elaborate way in which he goes about, just the wordplay of the spelling and everything. It's uncanny.
And of course, all this is playing into this fascinating kind of psychological thriller instead of kind of the traditional horror aspect of Courage. You know, it's the idea of this guy who is, he sees Courage's fur. He just sees, kind of an interesting fur or hair shape. But yeah, I think it has to be interesting to really get his attention. I really think that's the affect of the guy. And just that kind of triggers that compulsion within him. And I bet we're going to get later on with his third victim is he sweats, and it makes me think he wants to stop this, but he's just compelled to be naughty, and he accepts that.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. So Eustace, Eustace is.
I noticed. Are you talking about when he's shaving the guy with the long hair and the beard?
Yes.
I was I noticed that too. Because he doesn't say naughty during that entire time. It's because he's says. Or you know the mood.
Yeah, because we know he's in rehab. Well, technically he's somewhat. He's in the barbers. Anyway, we'll put a pin. We'll go get there later. Anyway, so Eustace has the bathroom door lock exposition. Basically needs an excuse to leave. But I love this. He just needs an excuse to leave because he knows Fred's coming by.
I love how he's polite enough to sit down for a minute and rudely read the paper in front of Fred, which in his own mind is being polite.
I have been in Eustace's position so many times.
I have too.
Where you just need an excuse to leave because you hate someone who's coming over. Anyway, so say hello.
I need to go iron my dog.
So
And yeah, it might be the moment of the episode when Muriel's like, "Say hello to our guest, Eustace," and Fred just turns around with his smile.
and he blinks. That blink is so well timed. It's like a single blink. I think.
Then he doesn't say anything. He just stares at Fred for like a solid 5 seconds.
Okay, now here's where Courage notices the home for freaky barbers.
What a specific rehab facility.
That's what I'm saying. So I like the fact that Fred is trying to change. It's kind of like the Psycho franchise, where basically every time he's apprehended, he goes to the asylum or the institution, and then of course he comes out cured eventually, and it's just this. It's just like they know it's a faulty formula. Okay, yeah, we have to bring Norman, we have to put Norman back to do another movie, so it's he keeps going back. It's a revolving door, like Arkham Asylum, you name it. It's funny. So yeah, so they basically Courage see again visually. We see the tag. I love it's a visual cue instead of expository, which is always great when you can achieve that. Courage morphs into the bracelet completely unnoticed, as Courage tends to do. Muriel asks, "Yeah, so yes, Jacob."
Oh no, just laughing. I wasn't trying to say anything. Sorry.
Muriel's asking Courage to show Fred. Fred to the bathroom to freshen up. Oh, yeah, you must be tired. Go freshen up in the bathroom.
I'll do it, but I'm not gonna like it.
Because he encourages, like, he's almost like a child. He's going, no, just try to signal, you idiots. It's going to shame us.
You know what's odd? I guess
What?
it fits well with Fred's character that he doesn't bring a suitcase, but he brings his barber bag.
Right.
That is really
With a
fitting.
razor in it.
For someone really trying to go through rehab, he's definitely kind of like enabling himself.
Oh, yeah. Let's see. So, his excuse is probably, for shaving, for shaving himself. That was his excuse for, like, oh, I need my bag. I need to shave. I must look my best. It is a gentleman's duty to look his best when he has company, or else he gets naughty.
Oh, that's great.
Anyway, back to our story. So, yeah, so Courage, he's stuck leading back up to the bathroom. Then this to me is a bit. I'm going to be a little harsh on Muriel for a moment here. You know what, Muriel?
Oh, Eustace! I forgot to give Fred some nice fresh towels.
I mean, far be it from me to defend Eustace, but I mean, literally, Eustace is on his way out the door, and she can't get up to bring the towels up herself. She likes the nephew. She can't bring the towels up. But here's the thing. Here's the reason I hold it against her. So Eustace, he brings the towels up. And, of course, Muriel in a moment is going to be going up there anyway. So why didn't she bring them up?
Right.
The real reason, of course, the episode be over.
He's probably gonna actually go to the hardware store too to fix the door after stalling
It's all
a bit.
about pleasantries.
Yes.
Yep.
Of course, I won't put it past him to stall, but he probably was gonna go out there, and Courage could have escaped.
Yeah.
Yep. Again, we would have no episode if Muriel went up there. So tomato. So yes, Eustace, he really cruelly he throws the towels at Courage. It's kind of hard to tell how he's just being a prick or if he actually wanted to lock him in there with him. But either way, it's cruel. He's such a prickish manner. He locks Courage in the bathroom with the freak.
Considering the way he says "oops," I'm pretty sure he did that on purpose.
Yeah, that guy. Yeah. So Muriel now wanders up because she heard the door slam. Kind of lazy.
She's interested.
Yeah, kind of lazy, Muriel. Muriel.
I was like, I heard the door slam. It slammed. Oh.
So Courage is now locked, and here's where the episode kicks off. Courage is locked in with Fred in a very creepy pose, sitting down. By the way, this is the creepiest pose you can put on. Like across the seemingly infinite bathroom for a moment.
Do you think Fred could do anything that's not creepy? Do anything and it doesn't appear creepy?
Probably
tennis, maybe tennis.
All right.
I don't think anyone can really look creepy playing tennis.
Like you'll find my little game very naughty.
God.
So, beyond that, all right. So, yeah, so Courage is locked in with Fred now, very creepy, sitting down. Muriel reassures him. Oh god, this gag. Muriel is reassures them that Eustace will be back to open the door. He's going to the hardware store. I'll be back. Shake a Lambsdale almost.
Eustace is just pulled off in the middle of the road, just reading a newspaper.
We're gonna see the fun. Basically, Eustace has his own version of Ferris Bueller's Day Out going on the side.
Right.
Eustace, sometimes you just need to take a break from the world. Sometimes you just need to go places with your truck.
Sometimes you need to get away from your freaky nephew. Or step-nephew.
I guess that makes the truck Cameron. But anyway.
Well, technically nephew-in-law, but still.
Sure.
Yeah, and each time we see Eustace, he's in a completely different spot. On the beach, at the movies, asleep.
So basically being locked, and again, a part of me gives me a new context looking at Fred here, because again, I think Fred being locked in with Courage literally encourages his fixation. I think that's the reason he has to act on his impulse, because he can't escape.
I mean, he's going through like the psychological stuff of like recalling his pet and then his past girlfriend, like all the psychological trauma instead of acting on it. You know what I mean? He's kind of reliving it firsthand.
And I love this. I love that we have silence with Fred, because we've been hearing his narration all this time, and then of course we have the courage. Just like the most intimidating 3 words you've ever heard Paul Scheffler deliver.
Oh yeah.
Courage, your hair. God, it's beautiful. So then the friend advice begins. So we have the first story here. Fred is reflecting as he basically encroaches upon Courage. It's kind of friend advice for while he's shaving pieces of Courage off. He goes through his stories. Again, we have very serial killer, kind of the first victim-esque story here. Basically, he reflects on the.
It always starts with an animal.
Yes. You want to take us through some of this? Anyone else?
Where do we leave off right here?
Yeah, we're starting the first story. The pet hamster. Was it a hamster or was it a gerbil?
It was a gerbil, I think.
Yeah, I think it's
gerbil.
One or the other. Anyways, so Fred is, like you said, he's reliving all of this, and man, this gerbil is just so cute.
And again, encourages color scheme.
Yeah.
Exactly. And you'll notice the blue eyes. I think Barbara had blue eyes too.
All the victims have blue eyes, and I think that's awesome.
Except Courage. He might have blue eyes. I don't know. They never show it, but
no. I think basically all the flashback victims have blue eyes.
Yeah.
But I love that it's all done by painting. Everyone but the most recent one is done through like kind of still paintings.
You know what's also odd about Fred? He has green eyes, like completely green eyes. That's really weird. Never stopped to think about that, really.
Hey, I'm gonna weigh in on something. I'm gonna throw something out there. What if it's like green? What if it's green for a reason? What if it's like green for envy? He envies the fur. He envies the hair. Everything he sees. I was
kind of thinking that. Yeah.
Everything he sees is green. Therefore, he wants it. Well, maybe not. Everything he sees is green. Anyway, continue.
So he's like you said, he's reliving all this stuff. He's thinking of his once pet gerbil. It never explains what happens to this poor thing after he completely shaves it down. I'm gonna pull up the episode here for better reference, but
the reveals are great. It's the great reveal. Basically, again, we build up and we have like kind of that creeping theme, and then basically it's like we zoom in on the picture and then reveal bald hamster or bald gerbil.
And it's not like Fred is just completely going at it like some serial barber or something. He's tying the shower curtain around Courage's neck so he doesn't get any hair.
He's just such a competent makeshift barber.
Yeah, exactly. He's doing everything.
Again, throughout this whole ordeal, he's just being so polite.
Yeah, exactly. He's being very polite about it, but he's just giving Courage a casual haircut, but he's just shaving him down completely.
Yes. Let's just then. So after
this gerbil is interesting.
Right. So Courage It's basically after this first kind of story. After, basically he's pulled out the shaver and he's taken it. I want to say he's given Courage a mullet at this point. Like the mohawk, well, not a mullet, mohawk.
Yeah, I never understood that because how does that work?
Well, he just shaves around, and just kind of brings it to a point. I guess I don't know. He's a barber.
I know, but Courage's hair gets longer there, like a lot.
Cartoon
longer.
logic.
It's a show where a dog can morph into anything, Sandy. I'm gonna give the hair thing a pass.
That's basically the most normal thing in this episode.
True. So, Courage, he begins to flee. He tries fleeing through the toilet. And I love this. Courage is like he's trying to flee through every imaginable way he can, like through every orifice of this room. He's trying to leave, and he's not getting away. So he tries flushing himself down the toilet.
Except strangely enough, the window. He never tries the window.
Is there a window?
Yeah, Fred stands by one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, right. Why not? Yeah, why didn't you jump out the window? Well, it's a big fall. It's that weird thing. It's kind of like the Despicable Me logic, it's where sometimes, it's not just Despicable Me. I'm just saying that this most recent. It's kind of really I've heard that stated with makers of Despicable Me. It's kind of that logic of. In cartoons, of course, you have the cartoon logic where anything can happen. Our guys are going to be all right. You can hit them with a bazooka; they'll be fine. But sometimes, if the atmosphere is if the tone is threatening, if it's supposed to be like, oh god, if he falls, he's going to be dead. It's like things intensify. You gotta that's probably why if he jumped through, I don't know. They just try to make it feel enclosed, trying to serve kind of.
It's probably what it is.
Anyway, so yes, and of course, we do get another Fred line. I completely forgot about here where you shouldn't play in the toilet, which is just hysterical out of context.
And you ever notice how Fred wears heels?
Yes.
And then it leads to his story about his love.
We have Muriel very dim outside, waiting, just completely unaware, and then we see Eustace. Eustace should be at the hardware store, and he's reading the paper completely immobile in the truck. Then we have hair. Basically,
we cut
his
back
former girlfriend
to Fred.
His former girlfriend.
Yeah, his girlfriend.
His drooping hair, his droopy curl, unfold sweet memories of a girl whose tresses, they twist and twirl and tempt me to be naughty.
And we're absolutely sure this is his girlfriend, right?
I believe it was Barbara, my love, was named, and her fair hair.
My dad was watching it, and he was like, I hope this isn't supposed to be his daughter.
Well, here's the thing, though. Part of me, again, on the rewatch, I guess I kind of misheard it or something, but
I think in a darker context, it would be his daughter.
Well, I just thought maybe it was like a girl who was in the barber shop, and she was like, it might have been just a child.
No, based on how he words it, like by the way he words, I think it's just like his girlfriend or someone.
Like it's like a childhood sweetheart.
Exactly. That's very much likely what it is.
Like especially this one, like the look upon my young love's face was as sweet as lace, but in this case, I realized she needed space.
Then we get the camera twists in on her face, and then we immediately cut to Courage screaming with the little choir. In the
I love that Courage is muted during all of this. That to me is just that's what makes this so haunting.
La, 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 la.
This muted choir.
It's the most terrifying moment in the episode because it's not like Courage has this, big, extravagant, goofy-looking scream face. It's like he's genuinely terrified.
Right. Yeah, you're right, Sandy. There is a distinction there. That's
the thing this episode has over the other ones in certain capacities. They're reinventing the Courage scare in a way we haven't seen it before. They have to get creative all over the places because they can't go back to the usual reservoir on a lot of this.
Yeah, and then after that, we see scrolling through the episode, and I see Fred. It looks like he has this, like deep inside, he knows it's not right what he's doing, but then he just keeps going because it's what he wants to do in a sense.
And like you said earlier, it's partly because he's like trapped in the situation with Courage, and that's like festering on his addiction.
It kind of reminds me of this Abbott and Costello gag, where basically it's the Niagara Falls gag. You guys ever hear about this? The old Niagara Falls sketch?
I think I've heard of it.
basically Lou Costello was locked in a prison cell with an inmate, and basically the inmate's he's a big, he's a big threatening guy, but he's really nice, he's really pleasant, but basically he says, oh well, don't ask me about. Basically he drops Niagara Falls, the place, or basically the woman he loved broke his heart at Niagara Falls, and basically Lucas says Niagara Falls, and he snaps, he's like batting him around a little bit, says Niagara, basically he's like slowly I turn, step back, basically scaring him, he's like back, he's just running to the edge of the cell. It's priceless. Anyway, it's kind of like he can't escape. He's triggering the guy, and he's scared out of his gourd. But one that I called in the rewatch here was fascinated by is like we intercut between the stories here basically as basically we had the setup with the girl with the push in. We hadn't revealed what happened to her yet. Then Courage being shaved, and the last bit we see kind of before we check in with the girl is we focus on Fred's giant kind of triangular heart-like face, and he seemed like this smile, just like a ship in the water, just kind of moving left to right. And he's in ecstasy over this haircut.
Right.
And it's that basically the way it's framed, it's without showing courage, is that it's showing you what he was feeling when he was shaving the girl's head. Right?
It just sounds so dumb, like stupid.
He's enjoying, and again he's reflecting. And again, the minute he says, basically until I would shave, basically I would shave and shave until I've gone too far. And of course, we reveal what happened when he went too far with the angry girl. Revealed, just exactly. Oh boy. And it's interesting. You got to wonder if these three were the only occurrences or what, because then Fred says. Well, actually, we know it's not the only occurrence because he has this great line where he says, I was never again naughty. Well, maybe not never. That makes you wonder if that's when he tried to kind of stop himself from doing it. That's where he probably checked in the rehab a couple times.
So when do we get the pancake gag with Muriel? I want to make sure we don't pass that up.
You love the pancake gag too?
That's right after
the
this.
Pancake gag.
Oh, me too. So Courage tries... It should be in the next. It should be. Oh, it's right here. It's good. It's good. After Eustace, that's when we get the pancakes. So, Courage tries fleeing down the sink. It's a no-go. He tries clawing it. Here we go. He tries clawing his way out. Muriel just shows up with pancakes, and Courage's like little arms are clawing his way outside the underside of the door. And Muriel is being quote unquote.
Oh, I'm so excited for the pancakes.
Yeah, she's being quote unquote helpful. No way she's helpful in this situation. So we cut with Eustace for a brief bit. We get the beautiful pancake gag here. Where it's Eustace. Eustace at the beach.
Here? Yeah.
Yep. Eustace having a ball at the beach. Then we have one of my this to me. Okay, my nostalgia. This is the real bit that's always stuck out to me. Like everyone has their bit from the episode that sticks out to them. For me, the pancake, the shaved pancake, has always been my.
Oh God.
So just this great pancake.
It's like as soon as the pancakes enter the picture, it gets another layer of twisted where he's like force feeding the pancakes to Courage.
And he's shaving the pancake too. That's the thing, Tiki. That will haunt me till the end. There's that bit where he's shaving the pancake, and just the way that shot works. Oh God, it's Fred stuffing the pancakes in and he rolls him up too. He rolls him up and jams them down. They shave the pancake.
You know what these pancakes remind me of, guys?
What?
They remind me of the pancakes from 3 for Breakfast, that Donald Duck cartoon.
I have to go back and watch that one, but
he makes these pancakes and he accidentally adds like rubber glue.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So like he has this big fiasco with these pancakes, and they look so good. And these pancakes and Courage look so good too, like these buttery pancakes.
Cool.
Anyways, I thought I'd share that.
So yeah, so Courage basically as like mid pancakes being jammed down his throat, Courage he pulls out a phone. Again, he had a phone the whole time apparently. He pulls out a phone. It's silly, but it makes no sense, but we love it. Courage, he pulls out his phone. He rips off the bracelet. He rips off Fred's bracelet. He tries calling the number. And it takes a while because again he's dealing with the pancakes of it all there. Next, so we have the next story, I guess. I'm just trying to make sure.
It's the that
The
extra.
bearded man.
Yeah, it's the extra they always use in Courage. He's like one of the background extras.
Right.
Oh yeah, you're right. It is that guy.
Now, just to trim, partner.
And
Okay.
it makes you wonder. Fred must not live too far from the farm, because this is like it's almost like he's in nowhere because it's almost like it's like a desert area where his barber shop is set up. You can see the outside. There isn't any grass or anything. It's just flat desert.
I mean, it could just be like the other side of town. There might be like another nowhere like kind of setting.
I suppose.
Anyway, yes. So the bearded man, he walks in. I don't know. Here, my theory is that this is the freshest victim because the other ones were done in painting. I think this one because it's
Right.
that's my theory on it. Of course, we have the blue eyes with him. So at least all the past victims have.
Where this is like after Fred's like tried to get help, but it's like him relapsing, and maybe this is like right after he sort of escapes, or right before I should say.
Well, I think this is what got him thrown in the place, and then him coming out is going to nowhere. That's where I think it is. And he did this. That got him back in the institution and the home for freaky barbers. And then he got out. He escaped.
Again, I love how oddly specific the home for freaky barbers is.
And again, here's the bit that kind of fascinates me on the rewatch. Is after that just trim. Fred he begins to kind of sweat here. It's almost like kind of Norman Bates, when a beautiful blonde woman kind of happens by. He's unable. Looks very much like his mother. He more Bates Motel than the movie, but either way. Fred is unable to control his impulses there, and again, you see the sympathy in a visual cue. It just infers all this backstory that he's trying not to do this. He's trying not to, but he can't. There's a guy with like a ginormous beard and hair all over. I can't resist. Then he begins. Like, he goes through the bangs. He goes to the bangs. He goes to the armpits. Basically, we cut to Courage. We kind of intersperse with Courage a little bit here. Muriel just completely unawares watches TV.
Oh, she's just like, what? I love how she, like, I want to think that she pulled the whole living room TV set up to the upstairs.
Again,
just for her own comfort.
Yet she can't bring towels up.
Right.
Let's see. So Courage calls the number. Finally, calls the number as Fred is prancing. Fred's prancing in the bathroom. He's so happy-go-lucky. It's almost like Alexander DeLarge almost. Just like having a grand old time, just singing in the rain almost. So Courage finally calls the number. Eustace falls asleep at the movies.
I love how ratty this movie theater looks. Like the spilled soda on the floor.
The dump.
It's the one they always go to. It's the same model.
Right.
It's almost like here's some crossover for you. It's like it's like that one of the crappy theaters inside the movie theater from Rocko's Modern Life.
Oh God.
So let's see. So so Fred. Now Fred. I'm sorry. Sandy, you want to take us through some of this? The big kind of climax with the tail.
So Courage, of course, he doesn't want the last part of his body that hasn't been shaved, his tail, to be shaved. And by this time, he already has the little band around Fred's wrist, right?
Yes, he has it. He's already called number, so they're on their way.
Okay. Well, it's not that big of a deal, but the whole episode brings it up to be this big climax here, and then Fred, he just doesn't care at this point. He hears the sirens outside. He's still smiling. It's like at least he got to shave.
This is my favorite part of the episode on like a psychological level is how is his reaction to it. He's just so calm.
The other thing with Fred, and I think the way Scheffler's playing, he's playing it so much like Anthony Hopkins at the end of Silence of the Lambs, where he's on the phone with Clarice. He just kind of blends into the crowd. It's like a guy who he knows that he's done. He knows that he's gotten away with it almost. So he's just like he's not upset. He enjoyed the ride essentially. That's
right.
Oh, so such a great choice. He's afraid I'll shave your tail. That would be weird. It's just the most just again. So
I'm shaving a friend for dinner.
Yeah, so yeah, he has way more lines than I give him credit for, but still, it's like I guess like 3 lines, but I thought it was like 5 words, so it's a lot more than I thought it was. But yeah, he speaks 80%. Tiki, you're absolutely right with the 80%. So,
And then Muriel is just waving bye to him like he's just leaving.
As if nothing happened.
yeah, very ineffectual, SWAT team that showed up. Like, I hope someone's not getting shaved in there. Like, what took you so long?
And then they throw him in the padded room in the back of the van.
Basically a barber version of Paddy Wagon.
Yeah.
And this is the creepiest smile. He's staring out, the doors closed, and through the windows he just smiles grimly at Muriel and Courage. That is the most terrifying smile in the episode.
Tell me you guys picked up on the brilliance of this, that we start the episode for we end the episode where we...
Oh, yeah.
Shot. Yeah, he's going backwards, and we're seeing him, he's going backwards into darkness, essentially, which is,
but it's like, goodbye, dear aunt, I miss your farm. And Eustace's ebullient charm. And farewell courage wants to harm if I was slightly
naughty.
And then, of course, we reveal on Courage's backside that next to like the unshaven tail, we have he was so clever, he has such great dexterity, he was able to work in with love.
With love. Right.
Just god, that's what sells the episode. That's what it's like that little.
That's like kind of the equivalent to the SpongeBob episode Nosferatu.
Yeah.
It's just such a nice stinger at the end.
Yep.
All right, final thoughts, guys.
Loved it.
Classic.
Oh, loved it. Yeah.
I'd say this is a benchmark. I would say this is probably one of the Courage episodes where it was okay, this is like a thesis statement of ours. This is exactly what we can do. This is what we can accomplish. This show's not just about monsters and classic cliche universal style villains and whatnot. This show can genuinely get down and scare you on a human level. It's not the scariest thing you're going to see in the world today, but definitely set a high benchmark for scary animated kid stuff going forward.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Oh yeah.
And this is one of the episodes that stuck with me throughout my years as as one of the shows that got me hooked on Cartoon Network.
All right, guys. Well,
it might not have exactly been this show per se, but it was definitely one of the shows that if something else hooked me onto Cartoon Network, this one got me to stay.
For sure. Well, thanks so much for keeping up, guys. Next time we will be talking about a current sitcom that will be very much in a Stephen King-centric frame of mind. So, what is that sitcom? What does Stephen King have to do with it? Even I don't know! It's madness!
You'll float too.
Oh, God. But in the meantime, folks, that ends our spooky selection for this evening, and our spirits grow weary. But don't worry, they'll be stronger than ever next time as we engage in even more haunted holiday hijinks. Maniacal laugh.
With